Hello friends, welcome back to my channel. It is time for basically our weekly Jessie Lee Ward update at this point. I swear, I just love how like a month or two ago, I was like, I'm not gonna comment on like how insane she's being. And then I've posted like a video every week about it, or like every 2 weeks about it. Because listen, it's just so wild and fascinating and just truly falls under the category of like things that just make your head shake. It's wild. So let's go ahead and give a little update on her shenanigans, I guess. Just when you think it couldn't get worse with regarding like things she posts, the medical misinformation she puts out there, the cringe content, the just ridiculousness. Just when you think it can't get worse, it does. It do be getting worse. You know what hasn't gotten worse though? My Spanish speaking skills. And that's thanks to the sponsor of this video. How about that flawless segue? So like I said, let's thank the sponsor of this video real quick, which is Babble. Babble is the best language learning app out there for you. Babble is scientifically proven, as we've talked about before, to help you start speaking a new language in just 3 weeks. The lessons are designed by real language teachers, and there's a 20-day money-back guarantee as well. They focus on real-world conversations, which is obviously a lot more helpful to you, opposed to the information in school that none of us really retained after, what, 4 years of Spanish? I knew not much. Not much. But thanks to Babble and the review process of it and the games on there, there's podcasts, there's live sessions, there's classes you can take, but there's multiple different ways to learn, opposed to just having someone talk at you. And that's obviously important because everyone learns differently. It's like a Mario Party mini game and I can't stop playing it, and I've been filming this part of the ad read for like 10 minutes because I can't stop playing it. I know personally that I need to be able to review. After every course, I will go ahead and review what I've learned, but not only that, after each lesson within each course. And I do just want to point out, I know it's funny that in my ad reads for Babble last year, I was like, I'm learning Italian because I'm going to go to Italy. Well, I was supposed to go to Italy this month, and I am not because I got pregnant. So I switched over from focusing on Italian to focusing back on Spanish so that I can try to have a bilingual household and teach my son when he gets here in a month. Crazy, I know. Instead of just handing him off to his abuelo, we can actually teach him Spanish ourselves. So that is why I really want to brush up on my skills. And so if you want to get past just the basics as well, there's nothing wrong with only knowing Donde está el baño. Hey, that's important. I get it. Or Me llamo Chelsea. I understand. Gracias de nada. All that. And if you want to do that as well, for whatever reason, traveling, being a bilingual household, then make sure you go to the link in my description box and get 60% off your Babble subscription. And thank you again, Babble, for sponsoring this video. So as we know, Jessie Lee Ward is someone who definitely spreads misinformation, medical misinformation, and she did that a lot during the height of the COVID pandemic and quarantine and stuff like that. She was still traveling. She talked a lot about refusing to get the COVID vaccine. Listen, I may not agree with like mandates and stuff like that, but because, your body, your choice, but also it's not just affecting your body, it's potentially affecting other people as well if you are at higher risk to contract a virus and then therefore pass it on. So there's that. It's just very interesting how she perpetuated and really like shared a lot of dangerous misinformation regarding not only like the COVID vaccine, but also just like vaccines in general. This isn't just about the COVID vaccine, but please do vaccinate yourself and your children. Also, don't kiss babies. Don't kiss babies. Don't do that. Do you know a lot of people have herpes? Did you know that? There's like it's super common. Look up how common herpes is. And there's obviously like different strands and strains, types of it. And there's, 1 or 2 or whatever that are a lot more common than like the spooky one. Anyways, so don't kiss babies on the face or just at all. What are you doing? Stop it. So I just find it really interesting that she not only went from that to telling people that they shouldn't get imaging done to then saying that she is the epitome of health and this is like what picture perfect health looks like, to then being diagnosed with stage 4 colon cancer, which most likely could have been not prevented rather, but stopped if it was caught earlier. If she would have, I don't know, gotten a colonoscopy or gotten some imaging done, and instead of perpetuating and saying that normal, like, preventative medical procedures cause cancer. And it's like, girl, no. So she's still on the BS of like, I'm not getting chemo and I'm getting better and it's like not in my blood anymore. And it's like, clearly it's gone to your brain and affected you because like what you're posting is ridiculous. So Jessie Lee Ward went to Auschwitz, which is, or rather the site of Auschwitz, which was a concentration camp, not an extermination camp, but a concentration camp, which I guess technically it was an extermination camp as well. But that happened during the Holocaust, which you know what the Holocaust was, okay? You get it. Also, Jessie Lee Ward has been doing a lot of, in a lot of people's opinions and what my opinion is as well, a lot of fetishizing of Jewish culture and of the Jewish religion and just Jews in general, which is really weird. And then to post something like this, and I don't know how her, I don't even want to call her a boyfriend, but her boyfriend, who allegedly is still legally married to his wife that he has 2 to 3 kids with, that he has been cheating on with Jessie Lee Ward for the last like 9 months. So it just gets better and better. It just gets better and better, y'all. Good God. All right. Jessie Lee Ward said in this picture, or in this carousel post of memorial museum aspect of like Auschwitz, she said, Auschwitz, I don't know how to explain the energy of 1.5 murdered people. I mean, yeah, you kind of can't. Why do you think it's so quiet there? Deadly quiet, no pun intended. I mean, it's the same as when, not the same, or to the same degree, but it's like when you go to the 9/11 memorial. It's spooky when you go there. Beautiful. Beautiful and spooky. I've seen the iconic entrance to Auschwitz in plenty of movies and books. Standing in the middle of the train tracks was bone chilling. I can only imagine that is something that I want to see one day. Like me and Tony are big on, like, I don't know why, but like memorials and museums and stuff like that. So I would, is it weird to say I would love to like go to Auschwitz and see it? Just like experience it. Oof, chilly, crazy. I photographed the trees because they've seen it all. They've seen the humans build their own graves, freeze to death, eat food that starve them to death, brutality. And I included the entrance picture as well, because that's like, I feel like that's like like an iconic, like people like see like the train tracks and the entrance to that, and it's like, that's Auschwitz, right? Either that or the sign, the like gate at the beginning. Oof. God, just so horrible and so spooky. I feel like it's just the best way to explain it, is just chilling and spooky. Anyways, brutality beyond what we can imagine. I'm right there with you, girl. Like, I get it. Like, you are describing this in a very, I don't want to say eloquent way, but yeah, I'm right there with you. The thousands of shoes and glasses, pieces of cookware remind me of how absolutely tricked these Jews and others were. How easy it was for our minds to be indoctrinated until one day we stop thinking for ourselves and accept what the powers that be want for us. And then this is when it gets a little, you're like, wait, what are you saying? You had me in the first half. Just last year, I was yelled at to show me your papers in regards to a vaccine, to enter restaurants, board planes, etc. How do you think horrors like this start? Years of brainwashing. Jessie Lee Ward, you are one to talk about brainwashing. That is wonderful. I couldn't photograph the 7 tons of human hair. I couldn't photograph the torture chambers such as the suffocating chamber. Okay, I know what she means. 20 people in a cage with an air hole smaller than your hand. The standing cage, crawl on the ground through the hole the size of a microwave to stand up all night. There's no room to sit and rest. If you don't die, you go to work for 11 hours and then you go back in for up to 20 days. And they hoped you'd die. I stood there horrified. We forget our history and allow it to repeat itself. Oh no, we're not done yet. It gets worse. It gets a lot worse. Good God. The babies that were born died within hours for some, and some weeks if they were lucky. The mothers had no nutrition to breastfeed. The prisoners slept on top of each other, having diarrhea on each other. Can you imagine? Of course not. I was shaken so much yesterday and just want to remind you how fast it starts. It starts with a disagreement, us versus them. It turns into, I don't like them. I strongly dislike them. I hate them. Then it's sport to kill people because for some reason you think that you're superior morally, religiously, race, gender, whatever. If you wonder why my number one personal core value is kindness, I was dramatically reminded yesterday of how important kindness is. Be careful when you trust the system. They killed intellectuals because they knew they'd cause an uprising. Cause it. Always. Love you all. Ma'am, you're not causing an uprising. You're spreading horrible misinformation. This is extremely offensive. To any of my beautiful, amazing, God's chosen people, the Jews, I love you and I'm sorry that this is extremely offensive. Like I said before, I don't know, and on a live stream earlier today I said, I don't know how her boyfriend isn't just like leaving her for comparing the pandemic, but let's actually call it what it is. Like, again, not to be, I say again, but I mentioned this in another video, not to be super Amelia Bedelia about it, but let's be like super black and white of exactly what she compared here. So it was, I got yelled at, show me your papers. So it's COVID guidelines, COVID requirements. She's comparing that to the Holocaust, to the murder, to the mass genocide of not only, what was it, 5 million Jewish people and 6 million others, including gay people, disabled people, shit, even some Jehovah's Witness as well. And I mean, the list goes on and on and on of other people that were people who helped those types of people. And yeah, so your girl, what? It's just so wild to me. It's like, how are you comparing this? Then again, though, as I've said in multiple other videos about Jessie Lee Ward, this is someone who is and has been brainwashed by the industry that she is in. Truly wild. Truly wild. So the more accurate thing to compare it to in regards of like history repeating itself is the polio vaccine. Like, people were shocked when, they started sharing pictures of like vaccination cards from back when people got like the polio vaccine. Like, history repeats itself like that. Like that's what happens when there's a like mass pandemic, something of this nature. Like, it's really not that hard to understand. Like, we weren't focused on how to like prevent it. We were focused on like the kind of like the aftermath of it. And there was like nothing you could really do like once you got it. We had friends die from it. It's awful. And I feel like it just made me and my husband just want to be even healthier and get our bodies to a point where like it can, fight off infection. And yeah, we did get vaccinated. And I don't think, obviously, like our government handled that really well, but also the fear mongering and the medical misinformation that people like this put out is really, really awful. And so realistically, like, why would you listen to someone who has said for years that getting like preventative care done or any type of imaging on your body will kill you and give you cancer, and tells you not to get pap smears, preventative care? And then she got colon cancer and is saying that coffee enemas and shoving coffee up her butthole is going to help like cure her cancer. That's not how that works. Again, she tells you to start an uprising. I tell you to consider the source, whether it's a hate comment, whether it's an article you're reading, or someone who is a complete loon like this person. So I was happy to see some of the comments were like, girl, what? This person said, comparing what happened to the Jews to proving you're vaccinated is insulting to the people who were murdered in those camps. And she said, not sure how you're unable to draw parallels on how horrors like this begin and then end, but go off. Jessie Lee Ward, you're not going to be put in a concentration camp. Maybe a psych ward, but not a concentration camp. I'm sorry, I'm getting like a little bit sassy about this, but it's truly wild. Someone else said, how incredibly disrespectful, not only to the people who died there, but to the uncounted millions who have passed from the disease we now have vaccinations for, to compare the two. I am hopeful that you are not making this comparison. Yeah, she is actually, so. That's great. I actually really liked what this person said. Oh, and their picture is really cute too. Look at that cute little baby. You can't compare temporary COVID vaccine requirements, because that was what the comparison really was temporary COVID vaccine requirements, in a pandemic with a virus that killed millions to the Holocaust. Did COVID kill millions of people? Whatever. Oh, I'm sorry you couldn't go eat there because you didn't want the jab. You had the privilege of refusing the vaccine and going and eating somewhere else. Those were temporary health measures to keep people safe. Jews didn't have any choices. Wow. And that really is interesting, because she's saying like, oh, I was yelled at and told to show someone my papers and my vaccination card. And it's like, yeah, Jessie Lee Ward, you also weren't required to get vaccinated. Like there was talks about it, but also like there were other things put in place. Like, okay, well, if you want to fly, you have to get it. So anyway, sorry for getting a little bit off topic here. But I just think it's important to really educate yourself on that. And yes, there were certain businesses and places that did require you to do that. There were also employers who were like, hey, if you get the vaccine, you'll get a like a bonus or like an extra incentive or something. And then there were ones who were like, if you don't, you're going to get fired. And that's, I mean, that's their right as an employer, right? So, and obviously this is more so in like the US. But yeah, Jessie Lee Ward is someone who I don't want to say like is just an idiot, but it's rough when she has such a large audience and it just keeps sharing things like this. It's really not cool. Someone else commented and said, seriously disgusting that you're comparing COVID to the Holocaust. What the F is wrong with you? And she's just like laughing about it. And it's like, I don't understand how you could be that disrespectful to the millions and millions of people who died and specifically in the Holocaust, but like the audacity to do that while at Auschwitz. Like what? Okay, so another little update for her, and I'm sorry I'm like spinning around so much, I have to go potty. But another little update on her. I did a video, I think it was like last week, where we talked about how she was teasing that she was leaving Prove It. She was not leaving Prove It. She still has her downline, which seems like a conflict of interest. But apparently she is now the vice president of field, like sales development and field something. I don't know and I don't care, but it's really interesting because from what I've seen, it's like, okay, so like director of like sales development. So a coach, like a sales coach. Okay. I mean, a lot of companies have people like that for their sales force, and especially if it's big enough. But then also a lot of companies will like hire someone like a consultant to come in. It's just interesting that they did that and like made her like a W-2 employee while she is also a 1099 because she also still has her downline. It's so confusing, but then also it sounds like it's kind of just like an honorary title. And from what I've seen, like what her role has consisted of like thus far kind of, seems like it's just like she's the motivational speaker for the company. And she's just sharing the same type of stuff. Like it doesn't really seem like she's doing anything different. So I don't know if it's more of like an honorary title or like they maybe cut out a deal to where they got like the rights to her systems or something, and maybe they wanted to lock that in like before she, went to the great beyond. So I don't know. It's very, very confusing. Also, we had kind of talked in the comments of my last update video on her, how like her accelerator program, her like amazing information she shares is just her charging people or like having a paywall basically for her Zoom calls that she used to do. Remember, she used to do like free trainings and all that, and now she just charges for it, but it's the same BS information. So, but just kind of like a little bit more like broad, because it has to be for not only network marketing, but for like everyone. Like she just did one on like AI, and it's like, oh, I'm sure Jessie Lee Ward's going to teach you all about AI. Let me guess what that's going to be like. Having AI write captions for you, having AI do like copyright for you. Yeah, that's not revolutionary. You don't need to pay $9,000 a month, $900 a month. God, if someone's paying $9,000 a month for her, jail, straight to jail. That would be ridiculous. Now, this is something she posted super recently too, and it says, this rocket ship is taking off and crashing, and absolutely crashing. Will you be on it? Prove it is just getting started. If you think what you've done so far is impressive, what we've done so far is impressive, buckle up and get ready to crash. We are going to change a lot of lives. Leave a comment if you want to be a part of this. No one wants to be a part of it, Jessie Lee Ward. It's the same regurgitated bullshit that you've been saying for the last 47 years. Also, someone in like a few of my videos on her, people were commenting and being like, Chelsea, she's not 34, like she's like 40 something. And I was like, no, I swear she isn't. And they were like, yeah, if you just Google it, she's like 40 something. And I was like, I don't think so. The person who told me that she's like 34ish was Erin Bees, and I feel like Erin would know. She was friends with her for years. Do we have like a situation like that movie The Orphan, where she's like secretly 85 and we all think she's like 30? I don't know. Anyways, let's look at this.
I was diagnosed with stage 4 colon cancer in February. It's a different level of gratitude when you wake up and you see the sun rising. You're like, here we go. We really do have another day, man. Here we go. And I will promise you that if you actually let this company inside you, you let Prove It become part of you, and you change your mindset around any kind of victim mentality or any kind of, oh, life is against me or anything, and you start to think to yourself, you know what? Maybe all of these things are happening to me because they were supposed to, so I could actually become the most powerful version of myself. You might see things differently. Prove It is the reason I know I'm going to live through this. But we can go so much further faster if we do it together. I am dead set on driving this thing to $1 billion a year and fast. So are you with me?
What in the cult? That was giving definitely some Scientology vibes of like, I know I can get through this because of Prove It. You think that your MLM is going to get you through your terminal diagnosis of stage 4 colon cancer? She can say all day long, spreading more false information, that it's not terminal. She has even shared what the oncologists have told her, that she's most likely not going to make it to not this Christmas, but next Christmas, or even maybe this Christmas if she doesn't do chemo. And she's not doing chemo. She's taking 1 billion different pills and thinking it's going to help her, shoving coffee up her butt. And it's awful, for sure. And listen, I know I will always get a few comments here and there that are like, leave her alone. And it's like, no, just because you have a terminal diagnosis doesn't mean that you get a pass for being a shitty person. Like no, absolutely not. And two things can be true at once. Check your cognitive dissonance. I don't want her to be in an MLM. I don't want her to expire. I want her to live. I want her to get through it. I want her to have a great relationship with her family, but allegedly, according to the ones of them that have reached out to me, she's cut her entire family off because they want her to do chemo. And apparently, allegedly, it has been alleged to me, I'm not stating this as a fact, people who suggest for her to do chemo or modern medicine, they are cut out of her life immediately. So a lot of people have been like, well, Chelsea, like, what about people close to her? Like, it must be awful for them too, because they're just watching her, dwindle. And I'm like, yeah, but what are you going to do? The people closest around her are her downline. And you know what happens when you go against the cult leader? You get cut off, babe. And that's a great way to get cut off by Jessie Lee Ward, is by suggesting that she is wrong and that she should do chemo. So that's really unfortunate. Again, if you were saddened, offended, upset by her comparing her anti-vax beliefs to the death of millions and millions of innocent people, especially Jews, I am so sorry. I am so sorry. In this day and age, I don't understand how people are still like, oh my God, it's the Jews' fault. What? No, they're the best. Come on now. They're the best. You are valuable. You are important. If your family was involved in that, hurt in that, if you have experienced prejudice against you, even if you're not Jewish, even for any reason, I am very sorry. And kindness wins, empathy wins, And I hope that you feel loved and know that you are valuable. Listen, there's two sides of me. It's either like, don't be a dick, be nice, have empathy, or like, F you, I don't care what you say. But again, check your cognitive dissonance. Two things can be true at once. We can want people to do better. We can want people to not be dicks. And then I can also just rip someone to shreds and mirror their energy. It's not going to be unprovoked. I can mirror their energy. But that's enough for this video. Thank you again, Babble, for sponsoring this video. If y'all do want to get 60% off, click the link below and go ahead and do so. Thank you to you guys for not only supporting my channel, but then also supporting my sponsors. I've always said I really do appreciate y'all doing that, because without sponsors, you know, and I know I couldn't do this full time. So thank you for your continuous support. And then also just like your patience and support as I'm batch filming and really trying to put out a bunch of content and get that content stacked up for when I am on maternity leave. I am so out of breath. Your butt looks good. Have a great day, night, weekend, whenever you're watching this. If you are triggered, go touch grass and take a bath, wash your butt, all those things. Stay spicy, keep those boundaries up, and I'll see you in my next video.